Are you married to a narcissist? Behaviors shown in husbands abused by narcissistic wives. NPD. Stoicism. If you're watching this, chances are you're feeling trapped in a relationship that seems draining, manipulative, and confusing. If your wife is a narcissist, you may find yourself questioning your own sanity as she twists reality and keeps you under her control. Narcissistic partners are often masters of deception, able to mask their toxicity with charm and charisma, leaving you isolated and emotionally drained. It's hard to recognize the signs, but it's essential to know that you're not alone in this struggle. Narcissistic abuse isn't just about hurtful words. It's about emotional manipulation that can erode your sense of self-worth and happiness. In this video, we'll explore the behaviors commonly seen in narcissistic wives and how these actions impact their husbands. By understanding these traits, you'll be able to assess whether you're in a toxic relationship and, more importantly, how you can begin to regain control of your life. This video is here to guide you toward recognizing the signs, healing your emotional wounds, and breaking free from the cycle of abuse. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life, where we empower you to take control and live with inner peace. Signs and behaviors of husbands abused by narcissistic wives. Number 1. Feeling trapped in an unhappy marriage. One of the most painful signs of being married to a narcissistic partner is the overwhelming sense of being trapped. Narcissistic. Wives are often master manipulators who leave their husbands feeling powerless and hopeless. Over time, the husband may feel as though there is no escape from the emotional toll the marriage takes. Every attempt to assert himself or escape the toxic cycle is met with resistance, manipulation, guilt-tripping, or even threats of emotional or financial retaliation. The narcissistic wife may twist the truth to make him feel guilty for even considering leaving, making him believe that standing up for himself would damage the family or make him appear weak. This manipulation creates an emotional web that isolates the husband, making him feel unable to share his pain with others for fear of judgment or disbelief. The husband becomes trapped in a constant cycle of self-doubt and anxiety, unable to break free from the grip of emotional control. He may begin to feel that leaving would destroy the family or make him seem selfish, leading to further isolation and depression. This constant pressure chips away at the husband's self-worth, leaving him with little sense of autonomy. The idea of leaving feels overwhelming, with the fear of losing financial stability or custody of children making the situation seem impossible to escape. This sense of entrapment can lead to a profound loss of self-identity, making it increasingly difficult to take decisive action. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In moments of emotional imprisonment, this principle is vital. Although the husband cannot control his wife's behavior, he can control how he responds to the constant manipulation and emotional assault. By recognizing his own power over his reactions, he begins to take the first step toward liberation. In modern life, many people feel trapped in various aspects of their lives, whether it's at work, in family relationships, or in toxic friendships. The pressure to conform to societal expectations, often centered around self-sacrifice, can make it hard to prioritize personal well-being. This is where modern Stoicism offers profound guidance. Stoic principles teach that we cannot control external events, such as a narcissistic partner's behavior, but we can control our response to them. By focusing on what is within our control in our thoughts, actions, and choices, we can regain a sense of autonomy. A practical Stoic exercise for the husband could be to reflect daily on what is within his power, setting boundaries, seeking support from trusted friends, or taking moments to reflect through journaling or meditation. These steps, though small, begin to restore his sense of self and freedom. Emotional manipulation and narcissistic behavior can be even more challenging in today's world due to social pressures and expectations. Society often praises selflessness and the idea of sacrificing for others, but when one partner is toxic, this can lead to neglecting one's own needs. It is essential to recognize that true selflessness starts with self-care and setting boundaries. The Stoic concept of ataraxia, or tranquility, offers a way out of this emotional turmoil. By cultivating inner peace, the husband can realize that his happiness and peace of mind are just as important as the well-being of the family. Moving forward, the husband can embrace the wisdom of the Stoics, who understood that true freedom comes from mastering one's inner world. Stoicism teaches the importance of cultivating virtues such as courage, wisdom, and justice, all essential for confronting difficult, manipulative relationships. Instead of passively enduring suffering, the husband can take active steps to navigate adversity, grounded in the knowledge that he is responsible for his own responses and actions. By internalizing these Stoic values, he can break free from the emotional chains that bind him, restoring his self-worth and autonomy, and ultimately finding a path toward liberation. Recognizing the signs of emotional manipulation and narcissism in a marriage is a painful but crucial step toward reclaiming one's life. Modern Stoicism offers powerful tools to break free from the feeling of entrapment and regain inner strength. By applying Stoic teachings, the husband can rediscover his own agency and cultivate a life where he is no longer controlled by external forces. Ultimately, the goal is to live a life of freedom, guided by the Stoic virtues of wisdom, justice, and courage, with the understanding that the power to change lies within his own mind. Number 2. Constant state of alertness and anxiety. Living with a narcissistic wife can place a husband in a state of constant hypervigilance, where every word and action feels like a potential trigger for conflict. Narcissistic partners thrive on control, making the husband always on edge, constantly scanning for signs of tension. This heightened state of alertness becomes all-consuming, infiltrating even the smallest moments of peace. Over time, the husband becomes so sensitive to his wife's moods that he feels mentally and emotionally drained, trapped in a cycle of second-guessing every word and action. The pressure of living in such an environment leads to persistent anxiety, making it feel impossible to relax, even in the safety of his own home. Imagine coming home after a long day at work, expecting peace, but instead, walking on eggshells, in your own space. Each word and action feels like it could provoke an emotional outburst or ignite a chain reaction of hurtful remarks. This constant vigilance takes a toll on the husband's mental and physical health. Anxiety seeps into all areas of his life, including work and personal relationships. He may experience physical symptoms such as headaches, fatigue, frequent illness, and poor sleep, all of which add to his stress and wear him down further. The fear of conflict becomes pervasive, making the idea of a peaceful moment feel like an impossible dream. This ongoing emotional turmoil can deeply erode the husband's self-esteem. He may start questioning his worth, feeling that he is never good enough no matter how hard he tries. Over time, his sense of self-worth diminishes, and the relationship starts to feel like a trap. He's stuck in a cycle of trying to appease his wife's insatiable emotional needs, which leaves him feeling powerless and vulnerable. But here's the truth. You don't have to stay trapped in this cycle. While you cannot change your narcissistic partner, you can change how you respond to them. This is where Stoic principles come into play, focusing on resilience, acceptance, and mastering your own responses. The Stoic path teaches us that the only thing we can truly control is how we react to the circumstances around us. The emotional chaos created by a narcissistic partner is beyond your control, but how you respond to it is entirely within your power. What would it feel like to release the constant anxiety? What if your worth was no longer defined by your wife's mood swings or emotional outbursts, but by your own sense of inner peace? This shift requires a change in mindset, recognizing that you can't control others, but you can control your own mental and emotional state. The first step is to stop living in reaction to your partner's behavior. Start by setting clear boundaries. Understand what you will and will not tolerate, and take steps to protect your emotional health. Whether through therapy, talking to trusted friends, or seeking guidance from a mentor, reaching out for support can be vital. The Stoic teachings encourage us to find peace not by avoiding conflict or trying to change others, but by cultivating inner strength. When you learn to stop reacting emotionally to your wife's mood swings, you reclaim your mental space and regain control over your emotional well-being. The Stoics understood that true peace comes from mastering how we respond to life's challenges, not from controlling the world around us. So, ask yourself, what would it look like to start applying Stoic principles in your relationship today? How can you begin to protect your mental health and self-worth, no matter your partner's behavior? It may not be easy, but it is possible. Resilience is built over time, and every small step you take brings you closer to reclaiming your life. Trust in your own strength, and remember that the Stoic path offers a way out of even the most difficult situations. Take control of your emotional space and start living a life where you are no longer a prisoner to someone else's behavior. Number 3, always trying to please his wife. In relationships marked by narcissistic abuse, the husband often finds himself trapped in a cycle of trying to please his wife, believing that fulfilling her demands will bring harmony. Narcissistic. Wives make their husbands feel that their worth is directly tied to their ability to meet her growing needs, leading to a constant pursuit of her approval. Over time, the husband may neglect his own happiness, desires, and even values, hoping that sacrificing enough will restore balance. However, narcissists are insatiable. No matter how much he gives, it's never enough. This creates an emotionally exhausting cycle, leaving the husband feeling lost, fatigued, and questioning his own worth. As this cycle continues, the husband starts adjusting his behavior to avoid conflict or emotional outbursts, placing his wife's happiness above his own well-being, goals, and relationships with others. He becomes increasingly dependent on her approval for validation, eroding his sense of self. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants." This concept resonates deeply in a narcissistic marriage, where the husband's quest for his wife's approval leads him to ignore his own needs, chasing validation that will never come. The emotional toll is immense, leaving him isolated, drained, and resentful. Over time, the husband may feel like a servant, his purpose reduced to meeting his wife's whims. His energy is consumed by a relationship that offers little emotional reciprocity, leading to exhaustion, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Despite his sacrifices, he never receives the love or validation he craves. His health begins to suffer, and he feels increasingly isolated and hopeless. His identity becomes so entwined with his wife's demands that he loses touch with who he is outside of his role as a pleaser. This emotional erosion can become deeply ingrained, affecting his decisions, relationships, and general outlook. He may feel as if his existence is entirely dependent on her approval, leading to passivity and a diminished sense of self-worth. What began as self-sacrifice becomes a futile hope that through enough giving, he can restore harmony or gain the validation he desperately needs. Unfortunately, no amount of sacrifice will ever satisfy a narcissist's insatiable need for control and attention. At this point, the principles of Stoicism offer valuable guidance. Stoicism, particularly modern Stoicism, teaches that true strength lies in maintaining inner peace and emotional resilience, not in seeking approval from others. As the Stoic philosopher reminds us, true strength lies not in external circumstances, but in how we respond to them. For the husband caught in this cycle, this wisdom is crucial. Continuing to sacrifice his happiness for external validation will only lead to more suffering. The path to healing lies in reclaiming his self-worth, setting boundaries, and making decisions based on his own values. By embracing Stoic principles, the husband can begin to rebuild his identity and sense of purpose. Modern Stoicism encourages self-reflection, self-discipline, and personal growth, helping individuals recognize that true fulfillment comes not from others' approval, but from living in alignment with one's own values. The husband can learn to understand that peace and emotional freedom come from recognizing his worth, independent of his wife's demands. Instead of seeking her approval, he can focus on cultivating a life based on his own desires and well-being, freeing himself from the exhausting cycle of trying to please an insatiable narcissist. This shift in perspective, grounded in Stoic philosophy, offers the clarity and strength needed to break free from narcissistic abuse and build a healthier, more balanced life. Through introspection and self-respect, the husband can escape the toxic cycle of seeking validation from someone who will never be satisfied. Modern Stoicism provides the tools to rediscover his worth, recognize his independence, and regain control of his life. This transformation is not just about leaving the relationship, but about developing the emotional strength to make decisions that prioritize his well-being and integrity. Only then can he begin to heal and create a life where his happiness no longer depends on the approval of others. If this video resonated with you, or if you are currently going through a challenging relationship, feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Your story may help others find strength and understanding. Not sure what to say? No problem. Just leave a comment saying, "I'm new here," if you're new to us, or "Longtime subscriber," if you've been with us for a while. Your participation means a lot to us and inspires us to continue creating meaningful content for you. Number 4. Trying to save the marriage by pleasing his wife. In marriages with narcissistic wives, husbands often fall into the exhausting pattern of trying to save the relationship by pleasing their spouse, believing that fulfilling her every need is the key to keeping the marriage intact. The husband sacrifices his own emotional and physical well-being. His own desires are set aside while he strives to satisfy her demands, hoping that by making her happy, the marriage will improve. However, narcissistic individuals are rarely satisfied, and the more he sacrifices, the greater her expectations grow. This dynamic leads to increasing frustration and a deep sense of hopelessness for the husband. As time passes, the husband may feel trapped in a cycle of obligation, where his happiness takes a back seat to his wife's needs. His emotional well-being becomes tied to gaining her approval. Yet no matter what he does, he remains unfulfilled and exhausted. This emotional depletion often results in resentment and burnout, as the husband realizes that his efforts are futile and that his self-worth has become entirely dependent on her approval. The cycle leads to a breakdown in communication, with the husband withdrawing emotionally, feeling more disconnected from his own needs and desires. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom speaks to the heart of the problem in these relationships. The husband's attempts to please his wife reflect a search for happiness through external validation, which Stoicism teaches us is not the path to peace. True, contentment comes not from fulfilling the desires of others, but from mastering one's own desires and expectations. By constantly trying to meet the unmeetable demands of a narcissistic partner, the husband unknowingly gives up his own inner peace, caught in a cycle of self-sacrifice. In modern life, this pattern extends beyond narcissistic relationships and can be seen in workplaces or family dynamics where individuals try to please others, whether it's a demanding boss, a critical family member, or a friend with endless needs. The pursuit of external validation leads to feelings of emptiness and burnout. In such circumstances, Stoic principles which focus on controlling our responses and actions become invaluable. By reflecting on what is within our control, our own thoughts, actions, and boundaries, the husband can break free from the constant pressure to please others. Modern Stoicism teaches that true freedom lies not in external rewards, but in cultivating inner peace and autonomy. One way to start breaking this cycle is through daily self-reflection. The husband could practice journaling or meditation, reconnecting with his own values and needs, and recognizing that he is not responsible for his wife's emotional state. Setting healthy boundaries is essential. Instead of continually agreeing to her demands, the husband can begin to assert his own needs and communicate them clearly. This practice aligns with the Stoic principle of ataraxia, or tranquility, which encourages emotional resilience and maintaining inner peace in the face of external turmoil. In relationships with narcissistic partners, It is crucial to remember that self-care is not selfish. The Stoics emphasize the importance of taking care of our own emotional well-being to be able to offer others our best selves. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. This encourages us to focus on our own growth and peace rather than trying to please or change others. For the husband in a narcissistic marriage, shifting the focus from his wife's endless demands to his own personal development is key to regaining his strength. Attempting to please a narcissistic partner is ultimately a futile and exhausting endeavor. By applying Stoic principles, the husband can break free from the cycle of obligation and start living a life rooted in self-respect and autonomy. Modern Stoicism offers valuable tools to navigate these difficult dynamics and regain control over one's emotional and psychological well-being. Through self-reflection, boundary setting, and focusing on what is within his control, the husband can rediscover his sense of worth and begin living a more fulfilling life. Number 5. Silent endurance and feeling of loneliness. Living with a narcissistic wife can leave a husband trapped in a cycle of silent endurance, where emotional isolation becomes a heavy burden, even though he is not physically alone. The emotional toll can be overwhelming. Imagine coming home after a long day only to feel like you're walking on eggshells, unsure of what to say or do. You're carrying the weight of the relationship, but you can't talk about it. Why? Because your wife has made sure you're cut off from others, manipulating family and friends to believe you are the problem. This leaves you feeling increasingly isolated, unable to seek support. Over time, this emotional isolation deepens, and the husband begins to question his own reality. He starts doubting himself, wondering if his emotional pain is valid or if he is the cause of the turmoil. The constant self-doubt builds a wall between him and potential help. As a result, his emotional exhaustion grows, and his social life fades, leaving him trapped in loneliness. This feeling of being alone can lead to depression, anxiety, and, in the worst cases, even suicidal thoughts. So how can you break free from this silent endurance? How can you reclaim your peace and sense of self in a relationship that thrives on manipulation and emotional isolation? The Stoic secrets hold the key to surviving and ultimately thriving through these challenges. The Stoics teach us that while we can't control the actions of others, we can always control how we respond to them. When we realize that our self-worth and peace don't depend on the approval or manipulation of others, we start to create emotional space. Imagine the freedom of no longer defining yourself by your wife's mood swings or accusations. What would it feel like to reclaim your peace regardless of the chaos around you? The first step on this journey is understanding that you don't have to suffer in silence. Setting boundaries is crucial. By doing so, you take control of the relationship dynamics. You can still be compassionate while protecting your emotional health. Whether through therapy, talking to trusted friends, or seeking support from others, you don't have to endure alone. The Stoic approach encourages self-awareness and reflection. By stepping outside the constant emotional turmoil and observing your reactions, you begin to regain control. Each small victory rebuilds your sense of self, and slowly the isolation begins to lift. Over time, you'll realize you don't need anyone's validation to feel worthy or at peace. Your strength comes from within. The Stoic secret here is powerful. You can endure difficult circumstances without losing yourself in them. By practicing resilience and focusing on what you can control, your actions, your responses, and your inner peace, you can break free from the emotional hold of narcissistic abuse. The Stoics understood that true power lies in maintaining your integrity and calm, no matter what external forces try to destabilize you. Ask yourself, what would it look like to begin practicing these Stoic principles today? How would your relationship and mental health improve if you focused on cultivating peace within yourself instead of reacting to every emotional storm your partner creates? It won't be easy, and it won't happen overnight. But with patience, self-awareness, and a commitment to your well-being, it is possible to find peace and emotional freedom, even in the most challenging relationships. By practicing Stoic secrets like acceptance, self-control, and inner resilience, you can transform the way you experience your marriage The key is to stop reacting to someone else's chaos and instead reclaim control over your emotional and mental health. You are not defined by someone else's actions. Your worth is found in your ability to stay grounded, peaceful, and resilient in the face of adversity. Take that first step today. Start practicing these Stoic principles and watch how your life and your sense of self begins to transform. Number 6. Taking on all responsibilities and blaming himself. In relationships where narcissistic abuse is present, narcissistic wives often manipulate their husbands by shifting the blame for every problem in the marriage onto them. Over time, the husband internalizes this blame and becomes convinced that everything wrong in the relationship is his fault. He may start to believe that if he could just change or meet his wife's needs more perfectly, the marriage would improve. This creates a toxic dynamic in which the husband's sense of self-worth becomes tied to his ability to fix the relationship. As a result, he enters a cycle of guilt, self-doubt, and self-recrimination. The narcissistic wife, skilled in deflecting responsibility for her own actions, perpetuates this false narrative, causing the husband to feel increasingly inadequate and emotionally exhausted. The more responsibility he takes on, believing his actions will restore balance, the more overwhelming the weight becomes. His emotional and physical health deteriorates as he struggles to meet his wife's demands while carrying the blame for everything that goes wrong. This cycle of burnout is relentless. The husband sacrifices his well-being for a marriage that offers little emotional reciprocity. As the pressure mounts, his stress levels rise, and he feels drained, disconnected, and anxious. The narcissistic wife continues to evade accountability, leaving the husband to question his own worth and identity. Over time, he becomes consumed by guilt and feels like a failure. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom is crucial for the husband stuck in such a cycle. He must regain control over his emotional state and realize that the issues in the marriage are not entirely his fault. The emotional toll of constant self-blame extends beyond feelings of inadequacy. It begins to affect his physical health as well. The ongoing stress, coupled with a lack of support or appreciation from his wife, can lead to physical exhaustion, anxiety, and depression. His inability to maintain the energy needed to meet the relentless demands of the marriage takes a significant toll on his overall health. As he sacrifices more of his own needs to please his wife, he becomes more isolated from friends, family, and even himself. His sense of self is lost, and he becomes trapped in a cycle of guilt, wondering if he is truly to blame for the problems in the marriage. This confusion deepens his sense of self-doubt. Modern Stoicism offers essential tools for breaking free from this cycle. Stoic philosophy teaches that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control how we respond to them. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The husband must learn to detach himself from the false narrative his wife has created and stop internalizing the blame. By adopting a Stoic mindset, he can regain control over his emotional state and shift his perspective, recognizing that he is not responsible for all the marital problems. Embracing Stoic principles helps him understand his intrinsic worth, independent of his wife's manipulative behavior. A core tenet of modern Stoicism is the practice of setting healthy boundaries. The husband must prioritize his own well-being by recognizing when he is taking on responsibilities that are not his to bear. Learning to say no and stop accepting undue blame is essential. This may require difficult conversations, seeking professional help, or even re-evaluating the relationship. Setting boundaries allows the husband to regain control over his life, stop internalizing blame, and protect his mental and physical health. Through self-discipline, emotional resilience, and self-reflection, key elements of Stoicism, the husband can rebuild his self-esteem. By focusing on his own needs and values, he can break free from the cycle of guilt and self-blame. As Stoic philosophy teaches, true strength lies in how we respond to circumstances, not in controlling them. By shifting his focus inward, the husband can reclaim his sense of self-worth and take responsibility for his own happiness. This shift in perspective allows him to prioritize his own well-being and happiness, understanding that his value does not depend on meeting his wife's impossible demands. By embracing the wisdom of modern Stoicism, the husband can gradually shed the emotional exhaustion and self-blame that have consumed him. With time, he can rebuild his life around self-respect and integrity, free from the narcissistic dynamics of the marriage. Though this process may take time, Stoic philosophy provides the clarity and strength needed to regain control of his life, break free from emotional manipulation, and move toward a healthier, more balanced future. Through this approach, the husband can discover peace within himself, knowing that his worth is not determined by an insatiable spouse but by his own sense of integrity and personal values. Number 7. A constant need for validation and recognition. In a marriage with a narcissistic wife, the husband often becomes emotionally dependent on her approval, linking his self-worth entirely to her validation. Narcissistic partners are usually incapable of offering genuine affection or recognition, leaving the husband in a constant state of seeking approval. His need for validation may drive him to great lengths to please her, often sacrificing his own well-being. Over time, this dependency erodes his sense of self, as his identity becomes tied to how well he meets her expectations. Without her validation, he feels worthless, trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and emotional exhaustion. This dynamic can make it hard for him to function outside the marriage, as he believes his value is only defined by his role in the relationship. The longer this cycle continues, the more difficult it becomes to break free, as he fears losing his sense of self. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." While his wife's behavior may be beyond his control, his response to it is what matters. Modern Stoicism teaches that happiness comes not from external validation, but from cultivating inner autonomy. The husband must begin to recognize that his worth is not defined by his wife's approval, but by his own actions, thoughts, and character. This shift in mindset can be liberating, allowing him to regain control over his emotional well-being. This struggle for recognition is not limited to narcissistic relationships but extends to many areas of modern life. People often seek validation from others, whether it's a demanding boss, critical family members, or friends with high expectations. This external dependency can drain emotional energy and perpetuate self-doubt. In these situations, modern Stoicism offers valuable guidance by focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and responses. For the husband in a narcissistic relationship, this means learning to validate himself rather than seeking approval from his wife. To break free from this cycle, the husband can start with small but meaningful steps. Practicing self-reflection through journaling or meditation can help him reconnect with his own values and needs. Setting healthy boundaries is crucial. By asserting his own needs and communicating them clearly, he can protect his emotional well-being. This aligns with the Stoic principle of ataraxia, emotional resilience that helps maintain peace despite external pressures. The Stoics also emphasize that self-care is vital for a meaningful life. As Marcus Aurelius stated, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In a narcissistic marriage, this means focusing on personal growth rather than trying to change or please his wife. By shifting focus from her validation to his own development, the husband can rebuild his confidence and self-worth. His value should be based on his actions and choices, not her approval. The husband's journey to freedom and emotional independence lies in embracing Stoic principles like self-mastery, mindfulness, and self-respect. His worth is not defined by fulfilling his wife's demands but by cultivating inner peace and living according to his own values. Applying modern Stoicism can help him break free from emotional dependency, stop seeking external validation, and start living a life of autonomy and fulfillment. Constantly seeking validation in a narcissistic marriage is exhausting and unfulfilling. Through Stoicism, the husband can break free from this dependency and rediscover his sense of self-worth. By focusing on what he can control, his thoughts, actions, and boundaries, he can regain emotional autonomy and find peace. Modern Stoicism provides the tools to navigate these challenges, enabling him to prioritize his own needs and live according to his values. How can a husband break free from the exhausting cycle of trying to please a narcissistic wife? Here are a few quick answers. Focus on your own needs, or set clear emotional boundaries, or stop internalizing the blame. Make sure to watch until the end of the video as we dive deeper into valuable insights, especially on how to escape a toxic relationship with a narcissistic wife. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. How to escape a toxic relationship with a narcissistic wife. After recognizing the signs and behaviors of being married to a narcissistic wife, it's crucial to understand how to break free from this toxic cycle. If you or someone you know is experiencing any of the symptoms listed above, the next step is to focus on reclaiming your life and well-being. Here's how you can begin to escape a toxic relationship and regain control over your happiness and mental health. Number 1. Stop enduring the abuse. Living with a narcissistic wife can feel like you're constantly trapped in an emotional maze, where every move is scrutinized and every action is a potential trigger. It's easy to fall into a cycle of silent endurance, suffering through the emotional pain in the hope that things might improve. But let me ask you, have you been waiting for things to get better for too long? How long can you keep enduring the pain before it takes a toll on your mental health, your self-worth, and your happiness? The first and most important step to breaking free from this cycle is to stop enduring the abuse. Recognize this: you do not deserve to suffer. Abuse in any form, emotional, psychological, or physical, is never acceptable. It's crucial to understand that your well-being matters more than any promise of change your wife may make. Narcissistic individuals rarely change because they often lack the self-awareness or desire to do so. So why keep waiting for change that might never come? You deserve peace, not a constant battle. This is where the Stoic secrets come into play. One of the core principles of Stoicism is the idea of focusing on what is in your control, and in this case, it's your actions and choices. Stop waiting for your wife to change. It's time to change how you respond to the situation. Begin by setting firm boundaries. This can be extremely difficult, especially if you've been made to feel guilty or inadequate. But here's a powerful truth. By establishing boundaries and learning to say no when faced with manipulative behavior, you start taking back control of your life. You are no longer allowing yourself to be a passive participant in your own suffering. This isn't about abandoning her. It's about reclaiming your own peace and well-being. Many men in abusive relationships fear being alone or think that no one else will understand them. I want to share a story that might resonate. A man named James, after years of emotional manipulation and constant belittling, finally realized that his life had been reduced to endless worry and anxiety. He had isolated himself from his family and friends, convinced that his wife's behavior was normal. One day, he came across a podcast about narcissism and recognized that he was living in an abusive dynamic. He had been enduring, thinking things would change, but they never did. He realized that the only way to break free was to stop enduring the pain. With the support of a therapist and close friends, he set boundaries, learned to say no, and began focusing on his own well-being. It wasn't easy and it took time, but James found the strength to reclaim his life. Like James, you have the power to escape the toxic cycle. The fear of being alone or misunderstood can be paralyzing, but the reality is this: staying in an abusive relationship only makes the pain worse. Trust your instincts. If you feel trapped or unhappy, those feelings are valid and they should be your guide. Now let me ask you, do you truly believe that enduring this situation will ever bring you peace? Or can you acknowledge that your well-being is worth the effort it takes to change the dynamics? The Stoic secret here is recognizing that while you cannot control your wife's actions or her refusal to change, you can control how you respond. When you stop accepting emotional manipulation and start reclaiming your power, you'll find that you regain a sense of control over your life. Taking action to break free doesn't mean you're abandoning your spouse. It means you're prioritizing your own health and happiness. Seeking help from trusted friends, family, or professionals can provide the support you need to break free from this toxic cycle. Remember that escaping the abuse won't just bring freedom, it will give you the strength to live authentically and healthily again. You will feel empowered, and eventually you'll be able to look back at this time and recognize it as the moment you took control of your life. What's stopping you from taking that first step today? The Stoic secrets teach us that the power to endure challenges with peace and resilience comes from within. It's not about changing others, but about changing how we react and respond to the world around us. You are worthy of love, respect, and a life free from abuse. Reclaim your strength. Take the first step now toward a future that is yours to define. Number 2. Establish healthy boundaries. In relationships marked by narcissistic abuse, establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries is crucial for protecting your emotional and mental well-being. Narcissistic partners, particularly narcissistic wives, often try to erode any walls that safeguard your thoughts, feelings, and actions, seeking control over every aspect of your life. Without clear boundaries, they feel entitled to dictate your decisions, leaving you drained, powerless, and suffocated. Setting firm boundaries is the first line of defense against their manipulation. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom underscores the importance of focusing on what truly matters, your peace and values, and standing firm in protecting them. Boundaries are not just limits but essential tools for self-preservation. To set healthy boundaries, you must first know what behaviors are unacceptable. For instance, if your wife engages in emotional abuse, it's vital to communicate that you won't participate in hurtful arguments or tolerate degrading behavior. At first, asserting boundaries may feel uncomfortable, especially when narcissists excel at making you feel guilty for their unhappiness. However, it's critical to prioritize your autonomy. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If you let someone manipulate your emotions, your happiness becomes hostage to their whims. A key part of boundary setting is recognizing and resisting the narcissist's manipulation tactics. Narcissists excel at twisting situations to make you feel responsible for their discontent. They may try to guilt-trip you into thinking their problems are your fault. Recognizing these tactics is vital. Once you see them for what they are, it becomes easier to maintain your boundaries and protect yourself from emotional burnout. This is where modern Stoicism can help. Stoicism teaches that we can't control others, but we can control our reactions. By adopting this mindset, you can protect your peace by managing your response to your wife's manipulative behavior, instead of letting it disrupt your emotional balance. Being consistent in enforcing your boundaries is essential. By standing firm, you reinforce that your mental and emotional health are non-negotiable. This consistency will empower you and bring stability back into your life. The act of setting boundaries also fosters healing, as it creates space for you to focus on your own growth and well-being, without the constant emotional manipulation from your spouse. Moreover, maintaining boundaries can help you rediscover your sense of self. Narcissistic abuse often causes one to lose touch with personal needs and values in the effort to preserve the relationship. By reasserting boundaries, you regain the opportunity to reconnect with your true self. This self-reflection is at the heart of modern Stoicism, which teaches us to live in alignment with our values, independent of external manipulation. As Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself. Only by regaining control over your emotions and actions can you cultivate true freedom and personal growth." Although setting boundaries is difficult, especially when faced with resistance from a narcissistic spouse, it is crucial for your emotional, mental, and even physical health. The Stoic approach encourages resilience and self-discipline, qualities that will help you stand firm despite opposition. Boundaries are not about being rigid. They are about prioritizing your well-being and giving yourself the space to heal. As modern Stoicism teaches, we are responsible for our happiness, and part of that responsibility is protecting ourselves from emotional harm. In today's world, particularly in relationships marked by narcissistic abuse, healthy boundaries are vital. By establishing them, you take the first step toward reclaiming your self-worth, restoring emotional balance, and beginning your journey of healing. With the wisdom of Stoicism, you can transition from emotional depletion to strength and resilience. By embracing this mindset, you not only protect yourself from further harm, but also lay the foundation for a healthier, more fulfilling life, free from the manipulation of a narcissistic partner. Number 3. Seek support from others. Escaping a narcissistic relationship can feel like an incredibly isolating experience, especially when the narcissist actively works to keep you alone and emotionally dependent on them. In such toxic dynamics, isolation becomes one of the most effective tools a narcissistic partner can wield to maintain control. By distancing you from friends, family, or outside perspectives, they weaken your ability to see the situation for what it truly is, making it difficult to recognize the emotional abuse and harder to take action. The absence of support leaves you more vulnerable to manipulation, and your self-esteem may start to erode, leaving you questioning your worth and your own perceptions. This is precisely why seeking support from others is so essential. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Though you may feel the weight of isolation, understanding that reaching out for support is not only a way to free yourself, but also a vital step toward clarity, can empower you. If you find yourself trapped in this cycle, remember that you must take an active role in reaching out for help. Support from others doesn't just offer emotional relief. It provides a clearer lens through which you can assess your situation and gather strength. Whether it's trusted friends, understanding family members, or professional counselors, surrounding yourself with people who comprehend narcissistic abuse can provide a much-needed perspective. Talking about the issues you're facing with someone who is outside of the toxic dynamic brings objectivity and validates your feelings. It's not uncommon for narcissists to make you doubt your experiences, leaving you questioning whether you're overreacting or imagining things. This self-doubt can make it harder to break free. That's why opening up to others who understand abuse dynamics can reinforce that your suffering is real and that you are not at fault. Moreover, seeking out support groups specifically for people affected by narcissistic abuse can be incredibly helpful. These communities are often filled with individuals who have walked a similar path and share valuable insights, helping you realize that you're not alone in your struggle. It's easy to feel like no one else can relate to your pain, but you'd be surprised by how many have endured the same heartbreak. By sharing your story with people who understand, you begin to unravel the isolation that has been imposed upon you. You gain the reassurance that others have healed and moved on, and that can inspire hope in your own journey. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This is a powerful reminder that, while feelings of isolation may seem overwhelming, they are often magnified by our perception of the situation. Support not only helps to alleviate loneliness, but strengthens your confidence in your decisions, which is vital when it comes to building a healthier future. Whether you need to validate your feelings, seek advice, or simply find comfort in knowing that there is hope, support will help you on your path to freedom. Don't let fear or pride keep you from reaching out. Modern Stoicism teaches us to detach from our emotions and view situations objectively, and in this case, distancing yourself from isolation and embracing the wisdom and compassion of others can help you see things clearly. As Epictetus, another Stoic sage, reminds us, it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. Seeking support is an empowering reaction to the circumstances you find yourself in. By taking that first step toward reaching out, you reclaim the control that has been taken from you, one small action at a time. Remember, you don't have to suffer in silence. There are people ready and willing to help you. If you've made it this far, you're well on your way to finding inner wisdom and strength. Leave a comment saying, "I've stopped suffering," or "It's time to change." to show your commitment to ending your suffering and starting the journey of rebuilding your life, from setting healthy boundaries to seeking support from those around you. Stick with us. The journey of self-discovery is truly powerful if you reach the final 2 sections right here. Number 4. Take care of yourself and rediscover joy. When you're married to a narcissist, it's easy to feel as though you've lost touch with yourself. Narcissistic individuals often thrive on controlling and depleting your emotional energy, leaving you drained, confused, and devoid of joy. You may find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, trying to appease your partner's needs while your own desires, health, and happiness take a back seat. But here's the truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. To break free from this exhausting cycle, you need to start with one simple yet powerful step: taking care of yourself. Prioritize your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Start by giving yourself permission to step away from the toxic dynamics and reclaim your time, energy, and happiness. Remember, you were a person long before this relationship began, and you deserve to rediscover the parts of yourself that bring joy and fulfillment. In the chaos of a narcissistic relationship, it's easy to lose sight of the things that once gave you pleasure. Perhaps you used to love hiking, painting, reading, or simply taking quiet walks in nature. These hobbies aren't just distractions, they're lifelines. Engaging in them not only provides a much-needed escape from the emotional stress of the relationship, but helps you reconnect with your true self. The more you invest in these passions, the more you'll find that your joy and sense of self-worth start to return. You'll notice that your perspective on life begins to shift, and you start feeling a renewed sense of hope. But self-care isn't just about doing things you enjoy. It's about seeking out positive connections. Reach out to friends, family, and co-workers who uplift you. The supportive relationships you may have neglected in the past can help you rediscover the community and belonging that might have been absent in your marriage. The narcissist's world is isolating, but reconnecting with others can remind you that you are not alone and that you are valued beyond the confines of your relationship. Additionally, consider speaking with a therapist who specializes in narcissistic abuse. Therapy isn't a sign of weakness, it's an act of strength. Processing the emotional wounds inflicted by narcissistic abuse will allow you to rebuild your self-esteem, heal from the trauma, and gain the clarity you need to move forward. A skilled therapist can help you untangle the confusion and offer strategies for navigating the complex emotions tied to leaving a narcissistic spouse. Over time, as you invest in your well-being, you'll notice your strength returning. You'll become more capable of standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and making decisions that align with your true self, rather than catering to someone else's whims. This is where the Stoic secrets come in. By embracing the Stoic principles of self-control and focusing on what you can control, your actions, thoughts, and emotions, you can shift your mindset and reclaim your personal power. You don't need to rely on the narcissist for validation or happiness. As you strengthen your inner resolve, you'll realize that the external chaos has less impact on you. The key to thriving, even in a relationship like this, lies in finding peace within. You have the power to create your own happiness, and it starts with taking care of yourself. So ask yourself, what parts of your life have you neglected for the sake of the relationship? What are the things you used to love that can help you rediscover joy? As you reflect on these questions, remember that every step you take toward healing is a step toward reclaiming the life you deserve. Ultimately, self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. The more you nurture yourself, the better prepared you'll be to break free from the cycle of narcissistic abuse and create a life full of joy, peace, and fulfillment. In the end, you deserve to be free from the emotional drain and to live a life that nourishes you, body, mind, and soul. So, take action today. Rediscover your joy and never forget that the Stoic secrets of self-mastery and inner peace are within your reach. Number 5. Start changing your life and regain respect. Escaping a narcissistic relationship is not merely about leaving, but about reinventing your life, one that is healthier, more fulfilling, and centered around self-respect. Change is within, your grasp. Yet often the fear of the unknown and the discomfort of change keep people stuck in toxic patterns. However, it's essential to recognize that you have the power to create a better future. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This profound truth speaks to the essence of taking control over your own life, even in the face of adversity. Beginning. Respect in building a new life begins with acknowledging that change, though challenging, is possible, and it begins with you. The journey to emotional freedom starts with small, manageable steps, setting boundaries, prioritizing your needs, and learning to say no to behaviors and demands that harm you. These steps may seem small at first, but they compound over time to help you regain control of your life. A narcissistic partner thrives on manipulation, but reclaiming your autonomy involves identifying where you've felt disempowered or dependent, then systematically taking action to reverse it. These actions might include investing in your personal growth, whether by furthering your education, starting a new career path, or rediscovering hobbies and interests that bring you joy and fulfillment. Surrounding yourself with supportive and uplifting individuals is also crucial, as healthy relationships provide the nourishment your soul needs. As you implement these changes, you will notice a shift, both in how others treat you and, more importantly, how you treat yourself. As you start to stand up for your own happiness, you communicate to the world and to yourself that you are worthy of dignity, respect, and kindness. Slowly, you'll begin to restore the self-worth that was eroded in your abusive relationship, and you'll begin to picture a future where manipulation no longer has a place. This journey may be gradual, and there will be moments of doubt, but each step forward is a step toward reclaiming your emotional and mental freedom. As modern Stoicism teaches, life's challenges, no matter how painful, are opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every barrier you encounter in your quest for a healthier, more fulfilling life is not an obstacle, but a chance to rise stronger and more self-aware. The more you step into your personal power, the clearer your vision for a future free from emotional turmoil becomes. You deserve a life full of respect, love, and the freedom to make your own choices. It may take time and courage, but with each incremental change, you are building a life that aligns with the principles of modern Stoicism, living in harmony with your own values and reclaiming your right to live life on your own terms. As we wrap up today's video, remember that leaving a narcissistic relationship may seem daunting, but it is not only possible, it is within your power. You are not alone in this journey. The path to healing may be difficult, but taking that first step towards freedom can reveal unexpected strength and clarity. You deserve a life filled with respect, kindness, and genuine love, free from emotional manipulation and abuse. If you're feeling ready to begin that journey, reach out for support today. Whether it's friends, family, or a mental health professional, don't hesitate to ask for help. You don't have to go through this alone. With the right support, you can break free from the toxic cycle and create a life of independence, peace, and happiness. Your well-being is worth it. If you found today's video helpful, please give it a like, share it with someone who might benefit from it, and don't forget to subscribe to Stoic in Your Life for more videos on personal growth, Stoicism, and how to live a fulfilled life. Be sure to turn on the notifications so you never miss our upcoming content. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care of yourself and remember, you have the power to reclaim your future.